funny. I have a feeling I've met you before.
Hello, welcome to Cynic Critique, where we get real with cult films. I'm your host Thomas, and I'm here with my brother and co-host, my bro-host, Brian. This week we're looking at films God Told Me To, Angel Heart, and The Devil's Advocate. Yep, firstly is 1976's God Told Me To.
Why did you attack all those people? God told me to.
Written and directed by Larry Cohen, produced by him also. It stars Tony Lobianco as Peter J. Nicholas, Deborah Raffin as Casey Foster. She's credited as a guest star though. And Sandy Dennis as Martha Nicholas, Sylvia Sidney as Elizabeth Mullin, Sammy Williams as Harold Gaiman, Richard Lynch as Bernard Phillips, and Sam Levens as Everett Lucas. The synopsis, as IMDb puts it, is a New York detective investigates a series of murders committed by random New Yorkers who claim that God told them to. This is a film I discovered on Amazon Prime maybe a year ago or thereabouts and liked it pretty much straight off. Yeah, obviously it's 70s, but there's something very 70s about it and it's like its feel and aesthetic. Although the cinematography is done by Paul Glickman, who also worked on Blind Alley, which was a Coen film, and The Stuff, which was also Coen again. The cinematography of this is very handheld. It's very on the streets kind of thing. It's got that sort of feel. Yeah. And just from the opening, I really like it. There's a tense vibe with just the establishing shots of New York, so how it keeps it tense, along with the accompanying music by Frank Cordell. I don't know anything else he's actually worked on, but this was the last film that he did the music for. Yeah. And then not long after them establishing shots, you start to see people getting picked off the streets of New York by a sniper, and there's some really good squib work in that. Yeah. Anything else you want to say? It's a really great detective story, just trying to piece everything together and working it out. I think it's very good, very different, even for its time. And it's got like the noir-esque sort of style that we both like, I guess. And just really like a lot of the visual shots as well. Yeah. That come into play a bit later. And there is some weird stuff in it. Yeah, there's, I think we kind of hinted at it last week when we mentioned what films we were doing for this week, that there is like a sort of religious theme of divine intervention. Yeah. And here it works due to the cop being a religious fanatic almost, really. You learn that he's estranged from his wife, but he won't have a divorce because it's not very godly. Yeah. He's going to mass every morning. He gets up early just to sneak out to mass. Yeah. And so this case is something he gets a bit obsessed with, which leads to him being dismissed off the force temporarily anyway. Yeah. So he carries on obsessing about the case and looks into it. Yeah. And then he learns of this. I don't want to say too much actually because I don't want to spoil it. It's a really great detective story and it starts to go into the bizarre in a great, almost like in an X-Files way. Yeah. So it starts to unravel it. Yeah. That's where it gets really interesting. Like I said, it's very different for its time. Or maybe I just have to watch more 70s films. Could be that. Sadly, it doesn't have a great rating on IMDb. I think it's only a 5 point something. 6.2. Yeah, and I think on Rotten Tomatoes it's like a 5.2 or something like that. Not that I'm really bothered about aggregate scores anyway, but... No, but it's a bit sad when you watch a great film like this and you go online thinking everyone should think it's as good as that, and it's like I said, I think this is probably one of my favourite 70s films as well. It really holds up as well, and I think it's to do with the story it's telling. Yeah, and I think it's the fact that it is just a simple detective story that helps it stay relevant. Yeah. And the idea of looking into religion, I guess, is something that's always going to be a theme in teams. Yeah. It does fall into a lot of noir stuff because he does seem like he's not usual sort of detective lead, is he? Like you said, he's religious fanatic and he goes off kind of doing his own thing. I guess that's where he's also different to your regular noir characters. Normally they're more in a moral grey area. Well, he kind of is with the whole, because he's stricken off the force. Not just that, but his wife's situation as well. Yeah, I guess. He's not exactly, he is kind of in a grey area himself to a lot of people's way of looking at things. I think he kind of comes off in a grey area. I mean, he's not one of them where he's drinking on the job and
No, he's not like that, but he's kind of...
pointing a gun at people all the time kind of thing. He's not that type of detective.
No.
So it also sets it apart to the regular noir genre as well.
Yeah, I suppose so. But it does line up with a lot of them sort of...
But like you said, as this goes on, it starts to really unravel into something quite, not extreme, but unexpected. And I think it would be a film hard to convince somebody to watch in a general conversation if you were to actually just start telling them plot elements
Yeah.
and spoiling it. People are like, oh, I'm not interested anymore.
Maybe that's why it has the low rating, because I think some people might get into it and think this is a really interesting story, and then as it goes a bit off kind of thing, they'll go like, oh, this is weird.
Yeah.
And leave it.
But Larry Cohen seems to be able to write pretty decent thrillers, though, when you look at his history. Because he started in the 70s and 80s with this, It's Alive, which is like a cult horror thing. There was even a remake somewhere in the 2000s. He created Maniac Cop, which is its own thing, and that's been remade and got sequels also. And then, like you mentioned, he worked on Cellular and Phone Booth as a scriptwriter, and became big. They're both Schumacher, right? No, Cellular's not Schumacher.
No. But I do find it odd that he seems to have a thing against, like,
phones.
Yeah.
I don't like it when people don't talk to me properly.
And the thing is, they're also, like, out and about.
Yeah.
It's like, don't get in a film booth. And then
Film Booth, if I'm right, there's a little more, like, erratic and more than one location. As Phone Booth, it's pretty much one location for the...
Yeah, but I do like how he based thrillers around. But
yeah. Strange that Phone Booth is probably the most known out of those two.
Yeah?
Yeah, because phone booths were already kind of dying off by this point, and the mobile was becoming a thing.
Right. Yeah, I suppose so.
Or maybe that's the charm to it. Just people nostalgia about phone boxes.
Maybe.
But no, God told me to. It's one of them where if you like a good detective story and you're okay with it, something being a little off-center from most, then you are probably going to enjoy this.
Yeah, like you said, if you enjoy X-Files,
Yeah.
which is probably a thing for all these films. But this one mainly.
Yeah.
Because it comes from the detective angle as well.
Yeah. Well, the next...
Yeah, one kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, this is more...
like a police procedural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, a bit more X-Files than Angel Heart.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to say about this?
One of your favourite actors was the lead character in this.
Yeah.
Robert Forster was originally the lead.
Oh, no way.
Got replaced.
Oh, one quick thing about this is early on in the film, it features the St. Patrick's Day Parade, which they didn't have a permit to film there, but they filmed anyway.
Yeah.
But Andy Kaufman, famous American comedian actor, I think even stand-up, has a small part in this film. And he got himself into a bit of a scuffle as he jumped over the barricades or something to do his scene. I'm not quite sure what the story is. I can't remember, but it's an odd one. I think Andy Kaufman, if I'm right, is who Jim Carrey plays in Man on the Moon.
Yeah.
Which has now become a little problematic because of Jim Carrey's on-set persona of Kaufman.
Yeah.
But as a film, Man on the Moon's a great watch.
Yeah.
Shall we move it along then? From 1976 to
1987.
Yeah.
Do you by chance remember the name Johnny Favorite? My interest is only in finding out if he's alive or if he's dead. You want me to check it out?
Angel Heart, 1987. Written and directed by Alan Parker, based on the novel by William Whitesburg.
Yeah, I think so.
Starring Mickey Rourke as Harry Angel, Lisa Bonet as Epiphany Proudfoot, and Robert De Niro as Louis Cypher, or however Mickey Rourke likes to say it in the movie. The synopsis on IMDb is a private investigator is hired by a man who calls himself Louis Cypher to track down a singer named Johnny Favorite. But the investigation takes an unexpected and somber turn. This film's fantastic. That's all I'm going to say straight off the bat. I remember watching it one night and I just loved it. I remember telling you about it and I was like, you have to watch this, it's great. Then you watched it and I think you agreed with me.
Yeah, I think this is my third time seeing it now in, I don't know, as many years. It's really not that long ago since I last watched this. De Niro's credited as a special appearance on this.
Yeah.
And you left off Charlotte Rampling as Margaret Cruikshank.
Yeah.
She's quite a big actress herself. She's in Zardos.
Yeah.
Which is a bonkers sci-fi movie with Sean Connery. And she's in the latest Dune, you reminded me.
Yeah.
I mostly know her from Dexter. I think that was the first time I actually saw her in season 7 or 8 of Dexter.
I'm going to say it was one of the later seasons.
It was one of the poor seasons.
Didn't have any money?
Yeah. It's why they had Thingy running it. Book.
It's got Book.
Yeah.
do anything for a quick buck.
Yeah. Even though it's the 80s release, doing the noir thing, which makes it a neo-noir film,
Yeah.
but it's set in 55,
Yeah.
and its main focus is like a post-war thing. But,
Yeah.
I mean, De Niro is great on this. His scenes are small and few, I guess. But
Yeah.
they're paced apart so well that you just enjoy him whenever he's on screen.
Yeah.
According to the director, Alan Parker, he was quite disturbed when he was on set. He didn't, quite intimidated by him, I guess. And apparently, De Niro based his performance on old-time colleague and companion friend Martin Scorsese,
Yeah.
which cracks me up. I've never heard anybody say they were scared around Scorsese.
No, I thought that as well. I just thought like, who'd want to work
Yeah.
for Scorsese if he's like that?
The cinematographer on this is Michael Cerasin, or Saracen, or Cercin. I'm not sure how to say his surname. But I was quite surprised because he'd done Birdie just before this,
Yeah.
which apparently had De Niro hang up the phone because
Yeah.
one of the producers had produced that film, and De Niro, and when they wanted De Niro for the role, he was like, "Did you produce Birdie?" And he said yes, and apparently De Niro just hung up on him.
Yeah.
So I've not seen Birdie, but I think it's supposed to be a comedy. Nicolas Cage is in it.
Nicolas Cage and Matthew Modine.
Yeah.
That sounds like a
But-
hoot.
But as for the cinematographer, Michael Saracen, he's still going pretty strong as a cinematographer. He's worked with Matt Reeves on the Planet of the Apes movies.
Oh, nice.
He did Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and War of the Planet of the Apes.
Right.
He did, I think it was a Netflix exclusive over in the UK anyway, Gunpowder Milkshake, which was a pretty decent action film.
Yeah, I remember it being pretty good.
Like, good sense of fun about it, you know. But he also did Fame and Rambo 3 back in the day.
Right.
And then, I don't know why I wrote this one, Step Up. I do have a soft spot for Step Up, to be honest. It introduced me to Channing Tatum. I think he's a pretty decent star.
Formally introduced or
Yeah, formally introduced.
or at the premiere?
Michael Saracen was like, Brian, I'd like you to meet my friend and colleague here, Channing Tatum. And we shook hands and been best friends ever since.
Interesting.
No, that's all bull. That never happened.
Oh, I learn something about you every day.
No, you've just learned my friendship with Channing Tatum is not real.
Yeah.
Anyway, I know you have a lot to say about this one, so I'll let you talk.
All right, I do.
It sounded like you did.
I'll mention the music on this because it's Trevor Jones. He does one of my favourite scores of all time.
Daredevil.
No, that's Graham Rebel.
I know it.
But Trevor Jones does one of my other favourite scores of all time, and it's not for a film, it's for a video game. And that game is,
Kane Lynch.
no,
Oh.
it's Marvel Nemesis Rise of the Imperfect,
Okay, wow, okay.
which is just one of my all-time favourite scores to listen to. I love that score. But he did League of Extraordinary Gentlemen and From Hell. I mentioned them because they're both Alan Moore adaptations. I
Yeah.
kind of found it funny. And he did Dark City, which is a great
Oh, that's,
director of The Crow. Alex Proyas.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dark City is a great sci-fi. And he did the score for Mississippi Burning, which is the same director as this.
oh, Mississippi Burning's great.
Yeah. Oh, that was pretty cool. Because that's also like a...
Detective.
Yeah, yeah.
It's two FBI guys, based on true story, isn't it, about the investigation of KKK?
Yeah, as soon as I saw it in the director's thing, I was just like, yeah, that's obvious it was him now. But yeah, so I had to mention that.
But no, this is a really wonderful film.
Yeah.
And I think it's better on a rewatch because there's certain things you're looking for, like clues and stuff.
Yeah.
There's some real good stuff laid down here that might not stand out to everyone first time.
Yeah. Here's a more interesting, complex story of the three for me. Like you said, once you've watched it once, you can watch it again and you notice in all these
Yeah.
different things and you're just like, oh, wish I'd been looking at that more closely the third time round, even the second time round, and for me, the fourth time round, apparently. But yeah, even when you know the story beats and everything, it's still there's still things to look for, and that's always interesting in a film.
Mickey Rourke is fantastic in this.
I'm gonna say this is the reason why I thought Mickey Rourke was pretty good, and then I watched this and I thought Mickey Rourke's a great actor.
Yeah.
Like somehow he just brings a real human element to this.
Sadly, though, this apparently started some beef between him and
Robert De Niro.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because Robert De Niro didn't want to talk to him when not filming because he thought it would ruin his scenes.
yeah,
But apparently Mickey Rourke took it quite personal
yeah.
and they've never really got on since.
No.
And apparently Mickey Rourke believes De Niro stopped him having a role in The Irishman.
Yeah, in which he said something like, "I'm gonna stop looking up to him now and just look through him."
Yeah, which is quite sad because I've never heard really anybody say anything bad about De Niro.
No.
So I don't know if it's a clash of egos or Mickey Rourke has just really took this situation to heart.
Yeah. I think it's more that. I think working with someone who you think's great,
Yeah.
believe him to be a great actor, and then he just refuses to talk to you on set, and you just think, oh, that's a bit sad. Really.
Yeah.
Because I imagine Mickey Rourke's kind of a friendly guy, really.
I get the idea he could be. You just don't want to mess with his beard.
His bird.
His beard.
Yeah.
That was an Iron Man 2 bit.
Yeah, I
With his
got it.
parrot.
I got it. Don't worry.
I knew you love Iron Man 2.
It's not the worst Marvel film. I know that much.
Oh, I would have said it, but I couldn't find a budget for God Told Me To or
Gross.
yes, as the budget for this was 18 million, which I like this film a lot, but 18 million seems a little steep. I don't know. I'd have to look at budgets around this time to really know. But it only grossed 17.2 million, so it didn't even make its budget back, which I find ridiculous for a film starring Robert De Niro in 1987.
It maybe got bad mouthed when people realised it was a special appearance by, and he didn't have much of a part.
It's a pretty integral
It's a
part.
big part, yeah, but I imagine some people at the time thought, I'm going to go watch this new De Niro movie, look at him on the poster.
Is he in the poster?
Yeah, he's in the poster.
Right. That's great.
It's him and Mickey Rourke.
Yeah.
Budding about.
Yeah.
Not like
Or not
on
budding
set.
This is a pretty interesting movie, and I really want to read the book. I was hoping to find a copy, but I haven't found one yet at a decent price anyway. I was hoping it was going to be read on Audible.
By Mickey Rourke.
Yeah, by Mickey Rourke. But no, again, it's another like fantastic detective story, essentially, because he's a PI, isn't he, looking
Yeah.
into a missing singer who was in the war called Johnny Favourite, which is a great name. It sounds like a real singer, I think. You can imagine a singer from around that time called Johnny Favourite.
I do like the fact they do feature at least one song by him in the film.
Yeah, that Johnny Favourite's supposed to have sang.
Yeah.
Are we moving on to the next one?
Oh,
Or is there more you want to say about this?
there were a couple of things probably that I probably didn't mention, but the credits are worth watching on this right to the end.
Yeah.
You said not say why, so we'll just leave it.
The thing is, I think for some people it'd be like, well, it weren't really anything, but it adds a certain level to the film, I think.
Oh, definitely.
And how it ends, it just helps with a certain conclusion, maybe, for some that understand
Yeah. I was going to say, it kind of
what it does.
actually finishes the story.
Yeah. Yeah, there are some things in this apparently that are referenced to the book. I know that. Early on in the film, you see on his desk a group of skeleton keys on a chain.
Yeah.
And in the book, that's something that he uses more to like open doors to places with.
Yeah.
And the skeleton key's supposed to look like, they say it's done like the hand of God,
Yeah.
which I thought was pretty cool. And I can't remember Harry Angel's date of birth in the book, but it's the same as the author's.
Yeah.
And then on the film, it's February 14th, which is the same as
The director.
Alan Parker, the director, which I thought was an odd change and quite an interesting one. Because February 14th being Valentine's Day,
Yeah.
I assumed maybe there was a fitting theme with it being that. So to learn it was changed from something else, I thought was different. Because there's a lot of stuff in terms of theme and what you see in this
Yeah.
that really worked.
I just kind of liked it because it was obviously the book creator and then the movie creator.
Yeah,
So in a way, it kind of plays into like,
about the creator.
yeah, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely.
There's something else that you mentioned while watching it because we were on about like the furniture and like the clothing and whatnot. It was although it's set in the
40s,
50s,
yeah.
Although it's set in the 50s, they took stuff from the 30s, 40s, so it all looked a bit more worn, which I thought was pretty good.
Yeah.
And they did a lot to make this film look and feel
I'm surprised
like
it's
it
not,
lived in.
yeah, I'm surprised it's not a bigger film than it is.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't particularly care what IMDb says for ratings. I like to make my own judgment. But
yeah,
even on IMDb, it's only a 7.2. Maybe that is about accurate, but I don't know what it is on your Rotten Tomatoes and stuff.
nah. I'd rate it higher, but I know audience as well always like what I like.
Yeah,
But it's a bit of a shame. I do think it deserves a bit more in the spotlight
yeah.
because it's one of my favourites, one of my Johnny favourites.
You're only Johnny favourite.
Yeah.
Are we ready to move on now, or is there more you want to say?
I think that's all I've got to say. I think it's a great film. Let's move on to the next.
Taffy. So now we're jumping 10 years to 1997 for Taylor Hackford's The Devil's Advocate.
Well, what's that like? One day you're putting them away, next day you're setting them free.
Takes a little getting used to.
Pays better though, doesn't it?
Written by Jonathan Lenkin and Tony Gilroy, based on a novel by Andrew Neiderman. And the synopsis, as IMDb has it, is an exceptionally adept Florida lawyer is offered a job at a high-end New York City law firm with high-end boss, the biggest opportunity of his career to date. It stars Keanu Reeves as Kevin Lomax, Al Pacino as John Milton, Charlize Theron as Marianne Lomax, Jeffrey Jones as Eddie Barzoon, Judith Ivey as Alice Lomax, Connie Nielsen as Christabel Andreoli, Craig T. Nelson as Alexander Cullen, Tamara Tooney as Jackie Heath, and Ruben Santiago Hudson as Lehman Heath. I think this is only my second time watching this, even though I liked it the first time I watched it. Well, I still like it now.
Yeah.
I've been meaning to watch it for a good while, and I thought now's a good time as any to pair it with the previous two.
Yeah.
I think people will most likely know this one more than the others, whether it's to do with recency or word of mouth. This film seems to have a bigger
Following recognition.
yeah,
But it seems to have bigger names attached to it. I know the last one had De Niro,
yeah,
but like you said, this is Keanu Reeves, Al Pacino, and Charlize Theron. You know, they're all quite well known.
Yep.
And they've all got big films to name as well. So.
yeah. I think the idea of the supernatural being woven into the story is more known with this.
Yeah.
But I guess putting devil in the title and the poster, it was advertised more that way as well.
Yeah. It was supposed to be a bit more that way as well in film itself,
Yeah.
wasn't it, when you look into it, because they wanted more visual
Yeah.
effects works and stuff like that. And I think how it is, I think there's enough visual effects as it, like,
Yeah, this time it plays more. It feels a little more psychological with how it's done now, and I don't imagine it was in some of the original versions of the script.
yeah, it sounded like it was going to be a bit larger than it is. And I prefer the more grounded and
Yeah,
steady approach in storytelling on this one. Well, the final version that you get.
this film still holds up now, I would say.
Yeah, I think this is more my third time watching it. I've always liked it, and when I was younger, I don't really know why I must have liked it, because I don't really feel it was a film I should have liked when I was younger. It weren't really a film that would have probably been interested in, because I was more of an action.
Yeah, although
No.
you probably watched it for Keanu Reeves with The Matrix.
Keanu Reeves, I think Al Pacino, because I probably watched Scarface by then. I'm not sure. I really don't know what films, what order. So I might have watched Scarface by that point,
I would say yes,
though I'm not sure.
because I've owned Scarface on DVD for years.
Yeah.
But I quite like how this plays out and builds.
Yeah.
Which is something I like about all of these, to be honest.
Yeah.
There's a thing in this, apparently, it's in the trivia anyway, that Keanu Reeves' suits get darker as the film goes on.
Yeah.
But to me, it seemed like they were pretty dark as soon as he's moved to New York.
Yeah.
So I think it's more of a setting thing and a fashion of the area more than it is a story visual piece. I mean, it works in terms of the story visuals,
Yeah.
but I don't think the trivia holds up on that.
No. And at one point, I do think he goes back to a grey suit and then a black suit. So I'm not sure
Yeah.
if it's certain.
But I don't know if
or-
they just mean when he's in the courtroom, which
Yeah.
if so, I never took enough notice once I thought, that don't work.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I was trying to make note of it myself.
Yeah.
It didn't seem to work for me either.
Keanu Reeves also took a pay cut on this film so they could afford Al Pacino.
Yeah.
And apparently when Al Pacino learnt that, he split that difference and donated it to charity.
Yeah. Which I thought was pretty good.
Yeah.
But I'd have also thought it'd have been nice if they'd offered it Keanu Reeves, who would have probably gave it charity as well.
Keanu Reeves was going to just give it charity. The director of this, Taylor Hackford, I think it's prior to this, he'd done An Officer and a Gentleman, which is quite a big film that people know.
Yeah.
And he also did Ray in the early 2000s, the Ray Charles biopic starring Jamie Foxx, where Jamie Foxx plays a better Ray Charles than Ray Charles ever was, or whatever people say about that. And I think that was the last thing he's worked on, like mainstream, that's big. He might have done a TV series or something, I'm not sure now.
He did The Comedian from the other year, and he did Jason Statham's Parker.
Oh yeah, Parker.
They're the only...
Based on the novels.
Yeah.
I can't remember. But it's the only time the film has actually had the character be Parker
Yeah.
from the books.
Yeah, they're like the only known films I can think of. Yes, again, De Niro was in The Comedian, and like I said, Statham was Parker. But yeah, it seems to have gone under the radar again.
The cinematographer on this was, I hope I'm saying his name right, Andrzej Bartkowiak.
Right.
He'd previously worked with Keanu Reeves. He was the cinematographer on Speed,
Nice.
Lethal Weapon 4, Exit Wounds, that's Steven Seagal classic.
Yeah.
Romeo Must Die, which is a great film, and a very underrated film that most people haven't heard of, which I know you're a fan of, Gossip.
James Marsden.
Yes, and Norman Reedus.
Yeah.
And Lena Headey.
Yeah, Lena Headey. That's a good film.
So, yeah, I mean, two of the cast members in that film are in two of the biggest shows in a long time with Game of Thrones and The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
So I just thought it's fair to throw Gossip out there so people go like, oh, I like them people in them shows.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll watch this film. It's definitely worth a watch.
Yeah.
In fact, thinking about it, Gossip's a little similar to Danny Boyle's Shallow Grave.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're massively similar, but
No, I know what you mean.
there's a certain overlap in what happens in the main elements
Yeah.
of the plot with it. So if you like Shallow Grave, you'd probably like Gossip, or vice versa.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say about Devil's Advocate?
Well, you just mentioned a film and it kind of links to one of the writers because Jonathan Lemkin wrote the story for Lethal Weapon 4
Ah, right, okay.
and he also wrote Shooter.
Right, yeah.
The movie.
Yeah, Matt Wahlberg, based on a book as well.
Yeah, and I think he did the pilot for the series that they did.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay, I
So,
didn't
like,
know.
nice that he followed through.
Pretty sure I watched the pilot, sure, and weren't impressed.
I didn't watch it, so
Maybe
I
I
wanted
didn't.
to.
Oh, Taken. I watched the pilot of Taken.
No, don't remind me that we watched the Taken pilot because that was very, very disappointing. And the other writer was Tony Gilroy, who did Star Wars Rogue One and the Andor series.
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
And also the writer of the Bourne Identity to Ultimatum, well, and Legacy as well, yeah.
Oh, right. Wow. Cool.
Yeah, so he's pretty
Go Mr. Gilroy's.
yeah. He's got quite a few films under his belt. Duplicity, State of Play, Michael Clayton.
Oh, I like Duplicity. Clive Owen's in it.
Yeah.
Is that the one he did with Julia Roberts? Was
Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of a name.
Because there was Duplicity and there was another Clive Owen movie that year, and I watched them both and liked them both, but nobody really seemed to care about either of them.
No. Don't know where he's gone. He disappeared.
Clive Owen.
Yeah.
He recently did a Hollywood Roundtable, Reporters Roundtable, with John Hamm, Matt Bomer, I can't remember who else. I saw it on my YouTube feed. I thought I'm going to have to watch that later.
Yeah.
Something I do enjoy about The Devil's Advocate was Al Pacino
Oh, yeah.
starting more like early days Al Pacino that everyone knows
Yeah.
to becoming the more caricature of himself, Al Pacino, that everyone knows.
I would guess it kind of goes from, let's say, Godfather Al Pacino to Scarface Al Pacino.
I don't know if you got a standout performance in this, but for me it was Charlize Theron as Keanu's wife,
Yeah.
as Marianne.
She does have probably more to do as a character.
Yeah,
comparison.
definitely, yeah.
Like Keanu Reeves, he just kind of takes cases, does
Yeah.
cases, sort of thing.
Yeah.
I don't feel there's much emotional baggage for his story. Is it?
People always say that about Keanu Reeves in a film anyway, until John Wick, where they wicked his dog.
Yeah. And Charlize Theron in this just goes through a lot.
Yeah, her performance is great. It
Yeah.
really is. It's the standout, which is something
Yeah.
like it's noticeably standout, I would say as well.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying everyone's bad in this film. Everyone's doing their part, what they need to be doing for the film, but she really adds to what this film is with her performance, I think.
Yeah.
Like you said, her character goes through the most, I guess, doesn't she?
Yeah.
It's also nice to see Craig T. Nelson in this. He plays one of the people that Keanu Reeves is brought in to defend.
Yeah.
And we see his apartment, and it's from Trump's tower with all the gold and everything. Because they wanted apparently a horribly sickly rich place.
Yeah.
Apparently, Trump just threw it at them.
Yeah.
He was happy to give it to him. I thought very on brand. But Craig T. Nelson, people know from Poltergeist. He was also in a sitcom, I think, in the 80s or 90s, Coach. He did a really decent creature feature. I can't remember what it's called. Well, I say creature feature. It's like a 2-part miniseries originally.
Yeah.
I wish I could remember what that's called. But it's like a humanoid shark, and it is fantastic.
Yeah, I remember because you get told me it's Craig T. Nelson fights a street shark.
Yeah. The miniseries was available to watch on YouTube for free. Somebody had kindly uploaded it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's actually called Creature.
Right.
It's from 1998.
Yeah.
And I think it's based on a novel called White Shark,
Right.
which is the same author as Jaws, Peter Benchley.
Not bad.
I mean, if somebody says you're watching Creature or Jaws, I'm picking Creature.
Yeah.
The effects work on that shark was great. 'Cause this like humanoid shark thing.
Yeah. I remember it being really enjoyable.
If I remember, part 1's better than part 2. Because it was like a 2-part thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I would watch that again for sure.
Yeah. While we're on about cast, I don't know, I can't think what else he's in right now, but Delroy Lindo was in there.
Oh yeah, and he's not credited.
Yeah, he's uncredited, and I couldn't find a reason why he's uncredited.
I couldn't. And he even has words to say.
Yeah,
And he's in more than one scene because he's in the scene in Harlem.
yeah.
And he's
Part of a co-op.
yeah,
And it's quite a, it takes a big part of the film, but it's rather relevant into the bigger picture, I guess.
Yeah.
And I just don't understand. I couldn't find anything at all why he was uncredited, and I just thought that's a bit.
he was in The Core, which people know from 2003 maybe.
Yeah.
He's in The One,
Right.
Gone in 60 Seconds,
Yeah.
Romeo Must Die, Cider House Rules.
Yeah. It's rather recognised.
Yeah, Ransom.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ransom I think is one of the things where it's Parker,
Yeah, it is.
but he's not allowed to be called Parker. But he's in Get Shorty, Broken Arrow.
Yeah.
I think he was something to do with The Five Bloods, which was a Spike Lee movie.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a solid actor on his own. He's done some great work, and he's never bad in anything.
No.
Oh, yeah, it's really odd to see him be uncredited.
Yeah. Maybe it was a favour to someone. I really don't know.
It wouldn't surprise me if his friends were the cinematographer, because that's Romeo Must Die as well.
Right, maybe. I really don't know, but I was quite surprised when you see him, and we were both thinking he's not in the cast.
Yeah. I don't know if I mentioned, this has a budget of 57 million and grossed pretty well with 133 million.
Wow.
That's US dollars, as it was for Angel Heart. I don't think I said it there either.
All right.
I feel amongst the three, Devil's Advocate is maybe the weakest.
It was for me, but I am very drawn to
Although,
detective stories.
yeah,
and things like that.
Devil's Advocate was also 2.5 hours and it doesn't feel it.
No.
I mean, none of these films feel their runtime, but you start off with really breezy 90 minutes, I guess, for
Yeah.
God Told Me To. And then you're at just under 2 hours, I think, with Angel Heart,
Yeah.
and then just under 2.5 with Devil's Advocate.
Yeah.
But none of these feel their runtime. And I think if you've got the time to watch all three in a night, I think that's a great 3 films to play together.
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of the reason we put them together anyway. They're films that are very similar, and it's easier to talk about films, I think, that are similar and recommend.
Yeah.
Because if somebody finds it and it's like, oh, I like this one, then they instantly know some of the films that they're going to like.
Yeah. Or at least might interest them.
Yeah, I would say if you haven't seen either of these, if you like, say, Constantine or the Supernatural TV series or X-Files,
Yeah.
there's definitely something in here for you.
Yeah.
But I think I would say legal dramas if you're for Devil's Advocate, but it's not quite your legal drama, I don't think. It's not up there with Time to Kill.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the same sort of sense as Time to Kill or A Few Good Men sort of legal drama.
No.
It's not, because it's not really so much about the court cases.
No.
They're just background stories. They're all B stories, aren't they, to the
Yeah.
overall
Yeah.
A story. Again, I'd love to read the book of Devil's Advocate. I was hoping it was going to be on Audible because I've got a token I want to spend, and I'd got that or Angel Heart, but they weren't there.
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts about these three?
Nothing that I haven't really said. Just that they are all interesting, all great films, and
I think they all do suspense well.
yeah, they all build
Yeah.
to the
climax.
yeah really really well. Once it hits that climax, that's really paid off.
It's all tied in a bow then, isn't it?
Yeah, everything's paid off, and you don't feel like you wasted time on the journey with them or anything.
Yeah.
They all reach that, and you just think, yeah, what?
They're all
now.
it's, I think, on a rewatch as well, you're kind of piecing some of them clues earlier on. It's
Yeah,
like, oh, it does all work really.
yeah. I think Devil's Advocate's probably the least interesting for that. I
Yeah.
think a lot of that's really spoon-fed.
Yeah,
Comparison.
I think it's obvious as well with Al Pacino being called John Milton.
Yeah,
There's just something there. It's like, you've called him John Milton and nobody is like the author.
yeah,
Because I thought John Milton would be one of those authors that everyone just knows the name of, like a Keats or a Byron or Shakespeare,
I think you'll be surprised at how many people don't know them names.
right?
Well, Shakespeare, he's well known.
Yeah.
Not as many people know John Milton, which is a bit of a shame. But I think if you're interested in stuff like this, I think you're more likely to know
The name John Milton.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I just feel like the writer of it was just like, it's a smart thing to do. And you just kind of think, not really.
they could have called him anything, really.
Yeah, John Milton, it's an author's name, but it's also rather plain.
Yeah. But maybe that's what they wanted, a plain sounding name.
Maybe. Like I said, not everyone knows that name.
Great film, though.
Oh, yeah. Like I say, it's more spoon-fed in comparison to the other two. The other two is a bit more...
That could be the reason why it's the bigger film, though.
Yeah.
It suits a more general audience.
Yeah.
As Angel Heart would suit a certain audience, but I think once there's a certain point in Angel Heart, people are like, oh, don't like it anymore. God Told Me To,
Oh,
a
that's...
little similar.
Yeah.
I think that'll reach a certain point and people are like, oh,
Yeah.
what is this?
Yeah.
And I think some people like it when things are a little off kilter and challenge your conceptions of a genre and so on.
Yeah.
That I think they'll get more out of it.
Yeah. Well, Angel Heart's my personal favourite. I think that was the one I watched and went, this is
Yeah.
probably one of my favourite films now.
Yeah, I love Angel Heart. And so I think God Told Me To is that for me. Because something
Yeah.
about God Told Me To.
God Told Me To, one of them where I thought about it and I was just like, probably one of my favourite 70s films.
Yeah.
That'll probably make it.
It's no Taxi Driver.
No. No, it's definitely not Taxi Driver good, but there's not many films that are.
The Batman.
I think you've got a Batman bias, and I will just hold you to that.
You're not a shrink. You can't diagnose me with Batman bias. But yeah, like I said, these are all very similar in theme.
Yeah.
And would make a great movie night together, which is the idea.
I would say it could probably be counted as one of them like weird trilogies, but I don't think they all line up. It could be like one of them weird trilogies where someone goes like, look,
It's not an official trilogy.
yeah, it don't make much sense.
But if you just add this little story beat that I'm telling you happens between films,
Yeah.
it lines up perfectly. I mean, they kind of are a thematic trilogy,
yeah,
I guess, which really works.
yeah. Even though they are all different creators, they
Yeah.
all do.
I mean, they're all very different stories, really, with what they're wanting to do
Yeah,
and how they do it,
yeah,
which is another thing that make these three great. They're all similar enough to throw together for a movie night
Yeah.
and not similar enough to feel like I'm watching the same movie again, you know?
yeah.
Plus, no one talks about how handsome Mickey Rourke was. I just wanted to throw that out there. He's not the weird beaten man we all see in The Wrestler.
Didn't he play Johnny Handsome in the 80s?
Oh, I'm not sure. Is that a film?
Believe so.
Yeah, you're right. 1989. Action thriller, Johnny Handsome.
Yeah, there you go. That's a film for you.
Forrest Whitaker's in it.
Yeah,
And Morgan Freeman.
yeah, it's a film for you.
Lance Henriksen. I'm going to have to watch this.
I thought you would. I'm surprised that ain't the name you always call Mickey Rourke, to be fair. But
It is now.
he'll always be Marv to me.
Okay. Wrap it up.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the end of the show. Thank you for joining us this week. And if you haven't already, click like and subscribe. A glowing review would also be appreciated. We are cynic_critique on X and Instagram. Links to those and more can be found in the show's description. And remember to join us again next week as we unearth more gems from cinema's depths as we discuss 2010's Salt, 2012's Haywire, and 2017's Atomic Blonde. Goodbye.
Thank you.
You're really starting to cut into my vacation time, so can we go, please?